is happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another episode of DEBO'S Fishing. Now I'm excited today, and I hope when you all see these videos pop up, but I'm excited today to talk to you because today's topic is something that some people feel very strongly about. And there's some people like me that use it in certain situations, they don't really care. And there's people that use it all the time. And that topic is live bait. Now, I know, before you flip this off and say, I don't use live bait, I'm a bass fisherman. I'm a bass fisherman as well. And you know that's what all these videos are geared toward. But that doesn't mean I use live bait for bass fishing. So when I think of the topic of live bait, I really have to think about what am I using the live bait for? To me, that's the number one question. But it's more along the lines of the challenge. That is why I don't use live bait. So when I think about live bait, what are the cons to using it? We're not even going to go into the pros and all that first. What are the cons of using live bait? Well, if I think of a normal fishing trip, I get in my car, I grab my tackle bag, let's say I'm bank fishing, go out, tie on a lure, and start fishing. Well, I couldn't do that if it was live bait. I'd have to go to the bait shop. I'd have to get my shiners or minnows, whatever I'm going to use for the day. I would have to transport them. I can't just throw them in my backpack, so that means I'd have to have some sort of vessel. Now, they're pretty finicky little guys. They're not real hardy, so I'd have to have something else in there, an aerator, something of the sort. That sounds like a whole lot of work to lug around. Now, you might say, well, that's fine. You should be just, sitting down, hanging out on a point, drinking an adult beverage, and enjoying fishing. Well, to me, that's not what fishing is. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I have friends that do that. I do it on I do that on occasion, but to me, that's not the main way I want to go out and fish. So what are the pros of live bait? Well, when you say match the hatch, I don't think you can match the hatch any more than the actual hatch. Or if you know they're eating little bait fish, you purchase some minnows, hey, I think you're on the right track. Boy, now, you can't really beat the mimicking action of a dying bait fish by having an actual dying bait fish. You can't beat the scent. You can't beat the movement. Now, additionally, you don't have to go around to a bunch of spots. If you know there's a spot with, a lot of cover or fish activity, you can hang out there and have a great day in just one spot. You don't have to, pond hop to multiple spots, get the boat in and out of different lakes. So there definitely are advantages of using live bait. Why do you only use live bait or artificial bait? Think about that. I want you to think about that right now. Leave a comment. If you have to pause the video and go down and leave a comment, that's okay. Leave your comment and then come right back, because I want to talk about the artificial side of things. Now, when I look at artificial bait, I think challenge. And I like to challenge myself. It would be like, hey, I'm going to have target practice with this bow and arrow, and the target's 2 feet in front of me. No, stop it. That's not fun. So let's go down the road of artificial lures. Why would anybody even use them? Let's look at the cons first. If I think artificial lures, I think a lot of money. Unfortunately, anglers spend a lot of money on fishing tackle, far more than we need to. Fishing tackle should be simplified. That's another video, but we spend far more than we need. Oftentimes, anglers are caught by the companies making the lures more often than the actual fish are caught by the lure themselves. Now that, again, is another tangent, but we spend a lot of money on fishing tackle. Now, additionally, when you go down the artificial lane, you have to know how to fish those lures. You couldn't just pick up a buzzbait, throw it out there, and start reeling it on the bottom. Maybe you'll get a bite, but that's not the proper way to fish it. You're going to have the most success fishing it early in the morning, late at night, along rocky. You can go on and on however you fish it, but there's certain ways to fish lures. And I think for a beginner or a novice, it's oftentimes intimidating to look at all these lures down the aisle, let alone actually know how to fish it. So that learning curve. Now, on top of knowing how to fish the lure, you also have to know where to fish the lure. By that, I mean, let's say I walk out to a pond and there's nothing in front of me. It's just a flat, sandy bed, and I can see all the way, down 6, 7, 8 foot. I throw a Texas rig out there and I start hopping it and reeling it, hopping it and reeling it. The chances of me actually catching a fish there are pretty slim. Now, maybe there's a straggler and I get him, but what I mean is you have to know where to fish that bait. So if I'm, pitching a Texas rig, I'm looking for cover, grass edges, those sorts of things. And for, again, a beginner angler, that can be pretty intimidating. Because to me, the best part of fishing is being engaged. I'm working the lure. I'm looking for spots. It's a challenge. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where would the fish be? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What changes do I need to make? Do I need to switch to a different line and rod? I like that challenge. So it's engaging. It gets you out in the outdoors thinking about nature. Now, maybe that sounds corny. If you've ever thrown a frog, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about artificial lures. If you just throw a minnow out and fish that minnow 12 inches off the bottom, you're never going to experience a topwater bite. Frogging is probably my favorite thing to do out of everything because you can't beat a topwater bite. You flip it out there and you're popping it over a lily pad, an old boy, big bruiser, 5-pounder comes up and smashes that frog. I don't know that you can beat that. And to me, that engaging part of working the lure and knowing that I tricked that bass into biting that lure when this isn't even a real food source, that to me is the real winning thing. Now, we can talk about the pros and cons of these all day, but why in my head would I not use live bait for bass fishing? Well, to me, I think it goes back to the whole challenge aspect. Am I right or wrong in that thinking? Absolutely not. If a guy comes up next to me and is fishing live minnows and catches a 6-pound bass, holds it up smiling in absolute happiness and says, I just caught my personal best, this is awesome, I would never look at that guy and say, you just caught that on live bait, that doesn't count, you're cheating, that's too easy. That gentleman would have had the same experience as me hooking that fish, the same pleasure of reeling it in, and the same joy of getting his picture taken with his personal best. I would never downgrade somebody like that. I would never try to make them feel like less of a person because they caught it on live bait. But there are definitely anglers out there that are like that, people that are very against using live bait. Now, I use it in certain situations, and I think this is also an interesting part to think about, is the type of fishing that you're doing. I would never use it for bass fishing. To me, I'm in the category of it feels like cheating, I want the challenge, I just wouldn't do it. Now, catfishing, that's a whole different story. I have no idea how to fish for catfish. Back to the whole novice thing. I would have no problem throwing out a piece of cut bait, hanging out with my buddies, talking, and hooking into a 40-pound blue cat. Awesome. I'll take pictures of that and brag about that all day. Now, if I were doing that same thing and caught a 6-pound bass on it, would I be posting it saying, you know what, I just caught my personal best. It was on a piece of cut bait, but it still counts. I don't know. What would you do? What would you do in that situation? If you're out fishing for catfish and you happen to hook into your personal best bass, let me know in the comments below. I am extremely excited to know what you all think about this. Now again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I can't stress that enough. In my videos, I would never tell you this is the only way to do something or the right way to do something. I might feel very strongly about something and try to let you know my point of view. However, I would never tell you there's a right or wrong way to do it. So I hope you've enjoyed the show for today. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do so for more entertaining Fish Food for Thought Fridays. We'll come to you every week with these. Well, you did hit the bell notification down there, right? If you haven't already hit the notification, hit it. You want to be informed of these videos because it should be like Saturday morning cartoons in the old days. And until next time.